Bridges project basically is a collaborative effort between Ford Foundation and PIND. And this project is basically speaking to or addressing the Petroleum Industry Act, which was enacted on the 16th of August 2021. So it has effectively been signed into law by this action. And Ford Foundation, due to its focal areas of dealing with not only petroleum and gas issues, but extractive industries issues, thought it meet to collaborate with PIND Foundation, which is a development program or organization, to carry out or implement the Bridges project, which speaks to three major areas. The implementation areas first would speak to building the capacities of civil society groups and non-governmental organizations who would in turn be trained on key issues that would address the implementation processes on the PIA. And basically, they have already been trained on key areas like communities, scooping communities to get information on key issues that relate to their development. What are the key core development areas? What are the priority areas that each community would be requiring, so that they are not guessing? They would carry out research processes that would involve questionnaires, would involve key informant interviews, observations, and all of those processes, speaking to key community stakeholders to find out what areas, what gaps exist in their communities and what they consider to be key priorities in terms of what they would see as development. And all of these would also dovetail into eventually all of the structuring of community development plans that would be eventually implemented by the host community trusts within their communities. Because basically, on the PIA process, there are key structures that have been already set out. And some of those key structures would be the setting up of board of trustees, also the host community trusts, the management committees, as well as the advisory committees. And all of these structures also need information, the appropriate information spanning from the PIA, the law, the document, so that they would be able to be effective on their various roles. And the unique interaction between CSOs and the structures, the community structures that the PIA has spelled out would be quite key, because if you look at it, they would be feeding into each other. The host community trusts would eventually need all of those capacities that the CSOs have acquired to be able to implement some of the requirements. So it's kind of a symbiotic process. And already on what we have benefited so far, the CSOs are already excited with the new information they have acquired on all of the community actions in terms of sieving the research processes on sieving information on what the communities would require, as well as structuring the plans which the HCDTs would be coming back to them for. And then of course the HCDTs have also acquired lots of trainings via the awareness creation process, which is the second component of the Bridges project. The awareness creation processes have exposed the HCDTs and the BOTs and all of these structures to the key information they need regarding the PIA processes, the structures, their roles, what they need to do, and all of the regulatory frameworks that exist on this process. So basically, they have acquired a lot, but again, the demand is still there despite what they have acquired, because they are still asking for more. Because as we know, knowledge learning is a lifelong process, and if they want to better themselves, they have to keep learning. So as part of the first phases, they have already started acquiring lots of information that would prepare them for the implementation process. And the third part of the Bridges project is the multi-stakeholders platform, which is the MSP. That is yet to be inaugurated, but all of the planning processes are ongoing, and we assume that it would also be a huge success, because the stakeholders, most of the stakeholders we have already started engaging with, the HCDTs, the settlers, the civil society groups, the state governments, and the regulators would still eventually be those we would still engage with as part of this process. The future goal. For me, the future is that the PIA process kind of echoes ownership, community ownership. The process is going to be owned by the community members themselves, not external parties. So that in itself would encourage sustainability, because the communities would be largely driving the processes, and if they take absolute ownership, then the processes have come to stay. And so all of the gains from the Bridges project would also help to sustain what we see as sustainability as well, because basically they are going to be putting all of these trainings and information into action, and that would eventually sustain the process. They would not also be looking externally. That's why the capacities are being built internally, so that all of the structures would feed into each other and sustain the process. The key lessons I have gained on this project is that as we continue to engage with communities, I am beginning to see lots of strength from within, and that tells me that we should not always assume that communities know nothing and they have nothing to offer. There are lots of strengths within our community frameworks, and so we should, like what the Bridges project has already done, looking inwards and building capacities from within. I think that is what we should strongly seek to do, so that our community structures would be sustained largely. So thank you so much.